You've been told your whole life that you're so easy to be around, and you've never once told anyone how exhausting that is. Today, we're talking about the chameleon mask and why the thing everyone calls your superpower might be the thing that's cost you the most. Welcome back to Unapologetically in Power. I'm Jennifer Damascus, and this month we're going somewhere that matters to me personally. We're talking about the masks, not metaphors, not concepts, the actual psychological armor women build to survive rooms that weren't designed for them. And today, we start with the one I know best because it's mine. It's the chameleon mask. And I want to match it to a Maxwell leadership principle that stopped me cold the first time I really let it hit. The law of magnetism. Maxwell teaches that you don't attract who you want, you attract who you are. And my translation for women who wear the chameleon. If you've spent years becoming whomever the room needs, you've lost track of who you actually are. And if you don't know who you are, you cannot attract the right people, the right opportunities, or the right version of your own life. The chameleon just doesn't lose herself. She loses her direction. So let's name what's under that chameleon mask. I call it the safety wound, sometimes the belonging wound. It's that part of you that learned, usually very early in life, if I become what this room needs, I'll be safe. If I adjust to what they want, they'll keep me. If I make everyone comfortable, nobody leaves. And in everyday terms, it sounds like I'm just good at reading people. Oh, I can fit into any room. I really don't have strong opinions about that. You know, I'm pretty flexible. I just want everyone to feel comfortable. Really, I don't want to make it weird. Oh, it's not a big deal. Here's what's important. None of those statements feel like a wound when you say them. They feel like a skill. They feel like emotional intelligence. They feel like kindness. And sometimes they are. The problem isn't the adaptability. The problem is when adaptability becomes the only setting you have when you can't turn it off. When you walk into a room and before you've said a word, you've already scanned it, assessed what's needed, and started adjusting. Not choosing to adjust, automatically adjusting. That is not flexibility. That's a survival response wearing a social skill costume. So let me give you a personal example. I have blue hair currently. I've worn fashion colors now for years. It's not a statement anymore. It's just me. It's part of how I move through the world. And a while back, I went to a formal event, kind of event where most people show up in traditional conservative dress, where there's an established aesthetic and an unspoken code, and everyone generally adheres to it. I showed up in a red dress with blue hair, and I felt it the moment I walked in. The looks, the quick assessments, the raised brows, and my chameleon, who's been with me a very long time, immediately started running the calculation. Should I explain myself? Should I be more differential? Should I make a self-depreciation joke to disarm it? Should I shrink a little? And for a moment, I almost did. Because that's what the chameleon does. She doesn't wait to be asked to adjust. She volunteers, like Katniss in the Hunger Games. But then something different happened. A few people came up to me separately and said some version of the same thing. And that was, "I love that you're so bold. You look beautiful." And here's what I want you to notice. Not about me, about the pattern. The people who were uncomfortable were never going to be my people. And the people who needed to see it, the women in that room who had been quietly shrinking themselves for years, they came to me. Not because of the dress, not even really because of the hair. It was because I didn't apologize for existing as I actually am. That's what the chameleon robs you of. Not just authenticity in some abstract sense, the actual people who need the real you. They can't find you when you're wearing the room's face instead of your own. And here's the thing I want to name because it matters. The chameleon mask isn't just one mask. It's the mask that knows how to wear all the other ones. So when the room needs someone soft, the chameleon puts on a peacemaker mask. When the room needs someone competent, she puts on that overachiever hat. When the room needs someone fun, she performs that too. The chameleon is adaptive intelligence weaponized against the self, which is why it's also the hardest mask to see, because it always looks appropriate. It always looks like the right response. And everyone tells you you're good at it until you're alone and you can't remember what you actually think about anything. And there's a clinical framework I want to bring in here because it gave me language for something I couldn't explain for years. Therapist and author Pete Walker, in his work on complex trauma, described what he calls the fawn response. Most people know fight, flight, and freeze. The fawn response is the fourth one, and it's the one that gets missed most often in high-functioning women. Fawning is when the nervous system learns that the safest way to manage threat is to become whatever the other person needs. To agree, to accommodate, to make yourself pleasing. Not because you're weak, because at some point it worked. It kept you safe, it kept relationships intact, it kept you included. And the nervous system doesn't forget what worked. What Walker's research shows is that fawning doesn't stay in the original context. It generalizes. It starts showing up in professional rooms, in friendships, in relationships where there is no actual threat. Because the nervous system isn't evaluating whether there's a real threat, it's pattern matching to the original experience. And that's the chameleon. It's not a personality type. It's a learned survival strategy that outlived its original purpose. An understanding that changes everything because you are not broken, you're adapted. The question is, adapted to what? And is that still the room you're actually in? So I want to jump back to the law of magnetism. You attract who you are. When I really sat with this, the question I had to ask myself was, who have I been attracting? And the honest answer was rooms that needed a performer. Relationships where my job was to manage the comfort level. Spaces that rewarded my adaptability and never asked who I was underneath it. Not because those people were bad, because I was showing up as a reflection of what the room needed. And the room gave me back exactly what I was presenting. So when I started showing up as myself, blue hair, opinions, edges, and all, the rooms changed. Some people left, and the right people found me. That's the law of magnetism in practice. You don't fix this by trying harder to be yourself. You fix it by getting honest about where you've been disappearing. So let's talk about what this looks like in real life. It's you can change how you talk depending on who's in the room. Not code switching for safety, but things like shrinking your vocabulary, your authority, your directness. You agree in meetings and disagree in private. You don't send the email with your actual opinion because you're preemptively managing someone else's reaction. You've been described as low maintenance and easy to work with, but you don't feel seen. You've been in relationships, professional or personal, where you realized you had no idea what you actually wanted because you'd been so focused on what the other person needed. You're exhausted in social situations, even when they went well. You've been praised for your emotional intelligence so many times you started to confuse performing with feeling. And here's the cost, not just to your identity, to your influence. Because a chameleon can't lead from a fixed point. She can manage, she can accommodate, facilitate, but real leading, requires people to know where you stand. And if you're always adjusting to the room, they never know where you stand. So I want to give you the chameleon audit. The first step is name the room you are performing in. So you think of a situation, a conversation, a meeting, an event, where you felt yourself shift. And in one sentence, describe it. In blank, the conversation, meeting, event, I adjusted myself by, and whatever you did. Write it down. There's no judgment. It's just observation. We're just gathering data. Then we find the calculation. Ask, what did I think would happen if I didn't adjust? Usually the answer sounds something like this. They would have been uncomfortable. It would have become a thing. I would have seemed like too much. They might not have liked me. I could have lost the room. That answer, that's the wound speaking. That's the original safety calculation running in a room that no longer requires it. So the last step is you need to practice one fixed point, and you don't overhaul everything all at once. You pick one thing this week that is true about you, one opinion, one preference, one boundary, one aesthetic, and you let it be visible. Not announced, not defended, just present. The goal here isn't to be provocative. It's to give yourself evidence that you can take up space and the important things stay intact. Because they will. And that evidence is what slowly rewrites the calculation. So if you've been the person everyone calls so easy to be around, I want to ask you something. When was the last time someone asked who you actually are? When was the last time you let them? The chameleon kept you safe for a long time. She was smart, she was fast, she read rooms that needed reading, and she adapted when adapting was survival. You don't need to be angry at her. You also do not have to keep letting her run the show. So this week, I challenge you, find your fixed point. One truth about yourself that doesn't shift depending on who's in the room. Hold it. Let it be seen. That's where your real influence begins. If this episode names something you've been living, the first real step isn't another podcast episode, though I truly appreciate you being here. It's knowing which mask has been running the show for you. So take the identity mask quiz. The link is in the show notes. And find out which of the 7 masks is costing you the most right now. Thank you for being here with me on this episode, and I'll see you next time on Unapologetically in Power.